Chapter 60. He slashed at Yinghong again with his sword, and Yinghong answered the attack with his halberd. As disciple and master, we're closely related. Don't get emotional and destroy the relationship. It would be a pity if your years of instruction be rendered in vain. Yinghong cried. Ungrateful wretch! How dare you! The immortal cursed and stabbed again. Flushed with rage, Yinghong roared. Master! As I'm your disciple, I didn't counter any of your attacks, but now I'll strike back. The immortal again struck furiously. Yinghong met the attack with hid halberd. After a few rounds, he took out the yin-yang mirror, but the immortal raced back to the city on a beam of golden light. He told Jiang Ziya all that had happened. Everyone was indignant. You were too soft. How can a disciple be so rude to his master? Greatly annoyed, the immortal remained silent. Seeing his master flee, Yinghong felt extremely proud of himself. He was just discussing with Su Hu about ways to subdue West Qi when a report arrived that a Taoist requested to see him. The Taoist was just about 8 feet tall, had a face like the skin of a watermelon, and a mouth full of fangs. Dressed in red, he wore a rosary made of parietal bones, and around his neck there was a gold-inlaid container made from a skull. Flames leapt from the sockets where his eyes, ears, and nose should have been. Yinghong and all his generals were filled with dread at the tearsome sight. The Taoist bowed and asked, "Which of you is His Highness Yin Hong?" "I am." "Where do you come from, Master?" "I'm Ma Yun, the first ether immortal from the white bone-calved Tian skeleton mountain. Shen Gongbao asked me to offer my services to you." With great delight, Yinghong gave him the seat of honor. "Which do you prefer, meat or vegetables?" he asked. "I prefer meat," said Ma Yun. He was entertained, and the next morning, he said to Yinghong, "I'll go to meet Jiang Ziya today." When the challenge was reported, Jiang Ziya said without hesitation, "I'm destined to meet enemies from 36 places. I can't evade this ill fortune, so of course I'll go to see him." He took all his generals with him and left the city. "Who's that Taoist coming?" he asked. "I'm Ma Yun, the first ether immortal. Shen Gongbao asked me to help Yinghong against you rebels." "Jiang Ziya, don't brag about your Chan Taoism. I'll seize you all to vent the anger of my Jia sect. Shen Gongbao holds a grudge against me, and so he's induced Yinghong to rebel against his master. But you're a talented Taoist. Why don't you obey the will of heaven and the wishes of the people?" Jiang Ziya replied courageously. Ma Yun laughed. "Yinghong is the son of King Zhou. How can you accuse him of acting against heaven when he's only faithful to his father? Would he be right, and just to help you against his own father? Jiang Ziya, you respect neither the monarch nor the status of a father. I'll execute you now before anyone else has the chance." He slashed at Jiang with his sword, and Jiang returned the blow with his own. After a few rounds, Jiang cast up his staff for beating gods, but Ma Yun was not recorded on the list of creations. He simply snatched up the staff and put it in his leopard skin bag. Jiang Ziya was astonished. As the battle raged on, a general wearing a phoenix feather helmet and gold chain mail rushed in. "Here I come, Prime Minister." It was fierce Tiger General Wu Rong, who had just arrived with food supplies from Qingzhou. When he saw the battle raging outside the city, he came to offer his assistance. He lifted his big cutlass and struck heavily at Ma Yun. Ma Yun found it difficult to resist him. He hurriedly muttered an incantation, then cried, "Quick, quick!" A powerful hand, with fingers as large as wax gourds, rose from behind his head. It lifted Wu Rong into the air and threw him down to the ground. Ma Yun trampled on one of Wu Rong's thighs, and pulled the other violently with both hands, tearing him in two. He then picked out the bleeding heart and devoured it in front of Jiang Ziya and his generals. "If I get you, the same thing will happen," he told Jiang Ziya. Everyone was frightened out of their wits. Don't think you can get away with your evil tricks, Ma Yuan. I'm coming now. Earth Traveler Sun yelled. He ran forward and struck at Ma Yuan with his cudgel. Seeing that he was a dwarf, Ma Yuan laughed. What are you doing here? I'll get you. Sun replied and struck again. Hot with wrath, Ma Yuan slashed at Sun with his sword, but the dwarf was short and nimble. He struck Ma Yuan several heavy blows on the thigh and waist, almost breaking his bones. Agitated, Ma Yuan muttered his incantation, invoked his third hand, grasped the dwarf, and threw him to the ground. Earth Traveler Sun immediately disappeared under the earth. Ma Yuan was amazed. I must have thrown him down too heavily. How could the wretch have disappeared like that? He puzzled. As he stared at the ground, searching for Sun, Deng Qianyu hurled a colored pebble into his face, wounding him severely. He had no time to finish cursing when Yang Jian engaged him. Ma Yuan was no match for Yang Jian, and had to cast his spell again. He lifted Yang Jian with his magic hand, threw him on the ground, tore his body in two, and devoured his heart just as he had with Wu Rong. He pointed at Jiang Ziya and warned, I'll let you live one more night. I'll deal with you tomorrow. Ying Hong was greatly pleased to have found such an ally, and entertained him late into the night. In the city, Jiang Ziya was worried. I've never seen a man devour the heart of a fellow being before. Though Yang Jian is talented, I cannot but worry about him. I really don't know that's happened to him. Drinking with Ying Hong, Ma Yuan suddenly knit his brows and began to sweat like rain. What's the matter with you, master? Ying Hong asked. A slight belly ache. It's because you ate a raw human heart. It'll get better if you tore hot wine. Zheng Lui suggested. Ma Yuan did as he suggested, but the more he drank, the more serious his bellyache became. With a cry of pain, he fell on the ground and rolled about yelling, "Oh, it's killing me!" A rumbling noise could be heard in his belly. Your stomach's rumbling. Better go to the latrine and relieve yourself. Perhaps you'll feel better then. Zheng Luan suggested again. Ma Yuan went to the latrine behind the camp, little imagining that Yang Jian had tricked him into swallowing a pill that would give him diarrhea for 3 days and reduce his weight and strength. Jiang Ziya was delighted when Yang Jian returned and told him of the trick he had played on Ma Yuan. As they chatted together, Nejia came in to report the arrival of Heavenly Master of Outstanding Culture. Jiang Ziya went out to meet him and then escorted the immortal into the hall. After they had exchanged greetings, Outstanding Culture sat down with Jiang Ziya and Master Pure Essence. Congratulations, brother. Your day of appointment is near at hand, he said to the Prime Minister. I'm rather worried at the moment as Ying Hong has rebelled, and on top of that, this Ma Yuan kills with wanton cruelty. Jiang Ziya answered. Don't worry. I was worried that your appointment might be delayed and came here to deal with Ma Yuan. Jiang Ziya was delighted. We are very fortunate to have your help, but how will you deal with him? The Heavenly Master whispered what should be done, and Jiang Ziya immediately ordered Yang Jin to carry out the immortal's instructions. At about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Jiang Ziya rode out alone on his nondescript horse to the camp gate of the Shang army. There he pointed his sword this way and that as if spying on the enemy. The guards on patrol hurriedly reported in. Your Highness, Jiang Ziya is outside spying on us. What trick do you think he's trying to play on us, Master? Ying Hong asked excitedly. I was fooled by Yang Jian and consequently have lost vitality. I must get revenge today. I'll go and deal with Jiang Ziya. Outside the camp, he was greatly enraged at the sight of Jiang Ziya. Don't go away, Jiang Ziya. Here I come. He leapt forward and struck at Jiang Ziya with his sword. Jiang Ziya took up the fight, but before they had fought many rounds, he turned his nondescript horse and ran away as if defeated. Ma Yuan followed close behind. Was Ma Yuan the victor or the loser? If you want to know, please read the next chapter.